Hey, sports card fans, it's John and Dawn back with another episode of Two Guys, One Hobby. How you doing, Dawn?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
Good, good. This is back-to-back weeks, I
I
believe, once
know.
we have this posted here, that we've done a Two Guys, One Hobby episode. For all our listeners, don't get used to it. This is just a haphazard thing. I had a guest lined up, and Dawn's like, I have our next guest lined up. I know who I want to invite. So, Dawn, if you want to introduce our guest for this episode.
Yeah. After a lot of whining and complaining and texting me all the time that I want to be on your show so much, I got tired of all the text and figured we might as well just have this guy on and get it over with.
Yeah, yeah. Rip the Band-Aid off, so to
Yep,
speak. Just get it done with, and then we can move on.
I agree.
Yep. So, without further ado, let's bring out Scott, Reindeer Studios.
Hey
Hi,
guys.
Scott.
What's up, Scott?
So what'd you give me your number for?
Hey, that's personal.
Yeah. No, this is great. It's been well, this is only episode 12, I think. But Scott, yes, it's about time that you're on the episode with us. And so what we're going to do today is a little bit offbeat. Our previous episodes, of course, are concentrating on sports cards, mainly baseball cards, different avenues. But we're going to take a little bit of a break.
Oh, we're going to talk about art?
Huh?
We're going to talk about art and
No.
drawing and painting?
No.
Oh.
No. We'll leave that to Scott's main channel. What we're going to be talking about is baseball movies. So we thought that would be a fun topic to talk about, baseball related. Maybe there's some tie-in to cards, who knows? But just thought we'd take a little break from cards, talk about something still baseball related. And there's some great baseball movies out there. And we're just going to talk about, I guess, maybe some of our favorites, why they're our favorites, and funny scenes, serious scenes, scenes that make you cry or whatever. But yeah.
There's no crying in baseball movies.
There is no crying in baseball. That is true. But there are some scenes that, of course, if you love the game of baseball, just different scenes, stories, events in some of these movies that just make you love the game of baseball even more. So Scott, since this was sort of your brainchild idea, maybe we'll start with you, and you can maybe talk about maybe not all of them, but maybe just a couple of your favorites, and we'll go around and just keep talking movies.
Okay. So if I guess it's pretty obvious that my favorite would be Major League.
Why?
Because that was right when I started getting into baseball, and it was 1989, and I was, I think, 11 at the time.
Okay.
And I had no business watching that movie at 11, but like I was such a baseball nut in 1989, and it was just amazing to see my team on the big screen. And
I thought, of course, that obviously with being the Indians, that's the whole, I don't know if it was like a worst to first type thing, but they were a bad team. Right. And then they got motivated with the against the owner,
right,
and said, we're going to show them. And
I've always been curious. They brought in a whole new team. Like, what happened to all the players from the year before?
The owner just let him go.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Do you know the history or why they chose the Indians as the team?
There was a couple teams that they asked, and I think the Twins were one of them. And the Twins were like, "No, we don't want to be involved with that, because it's not like super family friendly or anything."
Right.
So, and the Indians were like, "Hey, we could use the good publicity or whatever."
Was any of it filmed in Cleveland?
No, it was filmed in Milwaukee.
Really?
Yeah. Well, there was some Cleveland shots in it, but the stadium is Milwaukee.
Okay.
Oh wow. Now the Twins were in was it no, not Angels in the Outfield. There was it was a kid. There was a kid involved, and he was the owner or something. He became the owner. Was that
was Little Big
involved
League
with the Twins?
Yeah. Little
Yeah.
Big League was that one.
Little Big League. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Twins had been involved, but based on the storyline or whatever, they were like, "Yeah, we'll pass." But
Little Big League was after that, I think.
okay.
'Cause
Oh,
that
okay.
was like early 90s.
Yeah.
Because Griffey
Or
was
maybe
in
they
there. I
saw the
think Randy
success
Johnson.
of maybe they saw the success of Major League and was like, "Oh, well, maybe we want to get in on this."
Right. It was a lot family friendly, more family friendly too. I think that one.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know if that was put out by Disney or I don't know who produced that one, but
Yeah, I don't remember.
yeah.
Wasn't great.
But no, there's some obviously the character Ricky Vaughn, of course, but then there's Willie Mays Hayes. I always remember Willie Mays Hayes he said he could hit like Mays and run like Hayes or something like that. And
Something like that.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Catch-
run like Mays and hit like shit or something.
Yeah.
Right. He caught like Mays, ran like
Okay.
Hayes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Willie Mays Hayes, one of my favorite scenes in that movie is when he slides into second base and he doesn't reach the base. And the fielder's like,
Yeah. And then you had the old time been in the league forever pitcher, the gray haired guy. I forget what his
Eddie
character's
Harris.
name was.
Eddie Harris.
yeah.
Okay. Yep. And then was it the Cuban pitcher?
Was
he from Cuba or Dominican Republic or something? I forget.
I forget. It was Serrano was his name.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't the pitcher though.
No, he wasn't a pitcher.
No. But it was that little was it Juju?
Joe Boo.
Joe Boo. Yeah.
Joe Boo, yeah.
Yeah, like what does he say when he can't hit? He finally gives up on him, like "Screw you, Joe Boo" or something like that.
I do it my own way or something like that, and then he finally hit a curveball or off speed pitch. Yeah, because he could hit the fastball, he just couldn't hit anything else.
Right.
Yeah, but no, that is definitely a classic. So that's your number one favorite, right, Scott?
Number one, yeah.
All right, Don, what would you say is your favorite baseball movie if you had to pick one?
Boy, if I'd only put it in my name, maybe. So, obviously, going with Field of Dreams.
Yep.
And I got to see that movie in the theater, and I remember going with this girl, and I remember we left, and I had seen some real dogs, in my opinion, that she took me to. And I remember leaving going, "Oh my God, that's the greatest movie I've ever seen." And she was just like, "I didn't get any of it." But yeah, that I could watch that movie a million times. And going back to what you just said, the end, having that catch with your dad.
Yeah.
I don't know a guy that doesn't tear up at that part.
Yeah.
But there's just, to me, there's just so many great lines that came from that movie. And one of my favorites is, I actually Googled it here. It's when Ray Kinsella and Terrace Mann are at the ballpark, and Ray says, "So what do you want?" And Terrace Mann goes, "I want them to stop looking to me for answers, begging me to speak again, write again, be a leader. I want them to start thinking for themselves. I want my privacy." And then Ray goes, "No, I mean, what do you want?" And then Terrence Mann goes, "Oh, dog and a beer."
Yep. That's a great line.
That is.
Well, of course, the James Earl Jones sort of speech about what the field means in terms of in baseball and in terms of the history of the country and how baseball intertwines with everything. And I don't know remember the exact wording of the speech, but it's just how important the game of baseball is in the fabric of American society for the last 100 years plus.
Yeah, absolutely. It just, Archibald Graham was a real person. And I'm not even sure how they did the research or found this guy, but no one would have known about this guy if it wasn't for this movie. And it brought his brief history to life. And I just draw a blank on, what was the actor's name that played that
Burt
part.
Lancaster.
Art Lancaster.
Yeah.
I believe that might have been his last movie
Hmm.
that he was in. But he just did a great job. And even when he's like, I think Costner's like, isn't it a shame that you didn't get to play or bat? He goes into that whole speech, what really would have been a shame if I didn't take care of, and I'm paraphrasing, these kids. And,
Yeah.
So when they went,
wasn't there a scene when Costner came up to him and said, I forget what was his nickname?
Moonlight Graham.
Moonlight, yeah. Because no one's called me Moonlight in like 50 years or something like that. How
Right.
do you know about that or something?
Yeah, and what would make you on a dark night 50 years later come to Chisholm, Minnesota?
When they went to Minnesota, when they were filming, weren't those like real people that knew Moonlight Graham? I thought I remembered hearing that when they were talking to people about where he might be.
I think you're right. Like in the bar,
mm-hmm.
And they were talking about the blue hats and everything. But
yeah, that was kind of cool.
I also like when they're in the library looking up Moonlight Graham, and Terrence Mann, said, who wrote that? And the librarian's like, I did. He's like, you're a good writer. And she's like, so are you. Like she knew who he was without coming right out saying it. So, but yeah, that is no surprise there on either one of our favorites.
So I have a Field of Dreams story. I've kind of told it a couple times, but in 2019, I had shown my son Field of Dreams for the first time, and we lost our host.
Yeah. Oh well. Guess he didn't want to hear the story.
He's heard it before. So, and then I took him to the National with me that year. It was a couple months later, and Dwyer Brown was there, who played John Kinsella, and Milo looked up and he saw Dwyer Brown. He's like, hey, it's him, isn't it? And I said, yeah. And he went right up to him and said, hey, Dwyer asked my son if he wanted to have a catch.
No way.
At the National, they're playing catch with each other,
cool.
Which was like super surreal. It's kind of neat.
Hey, sorry about that, guys. I had issues with my internet. I'm not sure what got recorded actually in the last 2 or 3 minutes. All of a sudden, my screen went blank.
I think we're fine. The recording on here is still going.
Okay, so hopefully the final version no one's missed except for me from the screen. So hopefully it all works.
Yeah.
So I missed what was going on there. You were going over another scene from what, Field of Dreams?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll tell it again. So
okay.
if you want to edit it, I
sure.
guess. Okay, so in 2019, I showed my son Field of Dreams for the first time, and he was like 9. And then that year, a couple months later, we went to the National, and Dwyer Brown was there, and he played John Kinsella, the dad. And my son recognized him right away and came up to him, and Dwyer Brown asked my son if he wanted to have a catch, and they had a catch right there in the middle of the National. It was really surreal.
Wow.
Kind of a neat moment for me.
Did you get to film that?
I didn't film it. No, I was just like in shock.
Right.
Yeah, you don't think about things like that at the moment. Yep. Well, I was about to say what my favorite movie was, and then I got cut off. It's a toss up. I'll go, since, well, Major Leagues wasn't really a serious movie. Dawn, Field of Dreams is a little bit more of a serious movie. All right, if I had to choose, I'm going to go on the more comedic side. I love a funny movie, and I got to go with The Benchwarmers. It's a baseball related. I just,
I'm not sure if I've ever even seen that or heard of it.
The Benchwarmers. Oh, it's surrounding. It's a couple kids, not quite like The Sandlot, where you had these kids that were on a team, and then these other kids who could barely play or whatever. But it was a cross between Bad News Bears, where it's just a misfit of kids who love to play the game but not very athletically able to.
Just because you drop Misfits doesn't mean you're getting into the Misfits, John. Just
okay. No, I don't have a pending application. It's okay. Rob Schneider is in it. Um, um,
Is John Heater in that one? Napoleon
uh,
Dynamite.
yes,
Okay.
and oh my gosh, she's on.
John Lovitz is in it.
Yeah, John Lovitz is in it. Also, another Saturday Night Live. Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm
I
forgetting the
can't
name
help
now.
you out, guys. I never heard of
But
the movie.
there's a cameo by Reggie Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
He teaches them speed by doing Ding Dong Dash, and then teaches them like hitting and stuff. And I know it's just there's just some funny one-liners. It's surrounding baseball. Rob Schneider was this really good player, younger in like little league and stuff, and helps these other kids slash grown-ups up. But he has a past, and he tries to correct it. He was a bully when he was a kid, and all this stuff. But it's all surrounding baseball. But I just find it hilarious. On the more serious side, of course, I have to go with 8 Men Out. I love the history, the timepiece of it, the 1919 White Sox, just Shoeless Joe Jackson, just all that surrounding that period of baseball history, what happened there that year. And I think the director or whoever wrote the script or whatever was, I think, somewhat sympathetic to Shoeless Joe, because they showed him, like, obviously he couldn't I think he couldn't sign his name. I think he mainly signed his name with an X.
He couldn't read or write.
Yeah. So his wife, there were several scenes where his wife was telling him what things were going on, and it portrayed him as sort of just getting caught up in everything. And of course, it ends the movie with him playing in some minor leagues or whatever, and they say, "Hey, who's that?" "Oh, that looks like Shoeless Joe Jackson." "Oh, that can't be." And how he sort of was wronged in being, but at the time they were like, "We want everyone associated, we want to make a statement," and all that stuff. Sort of, but makes a case of, hey, Shoeless Joe should, in my opinion as well, be in the Hall of Fame. But
I agree with that.
yeah. So yeah, on the serious side, I just love 8 Men Out. That's probably, of all the baseball movies, that's probably the movie that I've seen the most times, is 8 Men Out. Probably followed by The Benchwarmers. When it's on TV, I'll flick and watch a little bit of it. I don't know, it's just a funny comedy. But so we have 3 movies listed, all different here. We got Major League, we got 8 Men Out, Field of Dreams. Any other movies that are some of your favorites? Scott, I guess we're back to you. Anyone that we haven't named so far?
The Natural.
The
Yeah,
Natural.
that was on my top
There you
5.
go.
Yep.
Yep. It's been a while since I've seen that one, where Roy Hobbs, right, is the
Correct.
main character. And I forget, was it gambling or something where he got stabbed, right?
No, I got shot.
He was
He
shot.
got
yeah.
shot. Okay. I knew there was some injury, and I'm trying to remember. Was it over gambling, or was it a female interest, or
Female interest.
okay.
He has a crazy woman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. But
And
of course, the
there's
ending is
a Major League Baseball player that really happened to.
Right.
And that's is that
Eddie
it?
Wakus.
Who is it?
Eddie Wakus.
Wakus. I know it's Eddie. I should know that. It's brought up on Alex's show every week. Eddie
Yep.
Wakus.
Mm-hmm.
and of course, the ending is just classic. It just
Right.
with the home run, just off the lights and shit. Just that's one it's been a long time since I've seen it, so I don't remember quite. But Scott, are there some other aspects? What about the movie that you liked?
Just as a, Major League is not a sentimental movie like The Natural. The Natural is my Field of Dreams. It's I guess it's not so much about the family as a lot of baseball movies are, and I don't know where I'm going with that, but it's just a real feel movie. There's a lot of emotion in that movie, and the music and everything. It's great. And there's a cameo by Joe Charbonneau.
Really?
Yeah, he was one of the
Okay.
players. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep.
On Hobbs' team?
Yeah.
One of the other teams. Okay.
I guess he worked on as some sort of like hitting instructor for the actors.
Okay.
Oh,
So it's kind of cool.
And you drew a Roy Hobbs for Mike.
I did.
Have you drawn anyone else from a movie besides the other day when you did myself and Chris?
Not that I can remember. No.
Okay.
I have
Now-
some more planned, but
what decade was the natural? Is it the 40s or 50s?
I believe it's the 30s.
Oh, 30s.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the centennial patch is 1939.
Okay.
Yeah, so that movie's in my top 5. It's just a great underdog story.
Mm-hmm.
Guy that had it all, lost it all, and then came back.
So Don, what's another movie that we
My
haven't?
next one is Bull Durham.
There you go.
Again, so many great lines in that movie. When what's the kid's name? The pitcher.
Lelouch.
Lush Lalong or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
When he goes out to the plate and tells him to throw a breaking pitch, and he throws a fastball, and Costa goes out the mound. He's like, "Wow, he really hit the shit out of that, didn't he?" And he's like, "Just like he knew what I was throwing," and he's like, "He did."
He did, yeah. Oh, that's right. He told the batter, all right, he's throwing his fastball.
Right. And then the batter doesn't run, and he's like in his face, like, "I gave you a gift. You're me," or something like that.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't just stand there. I gave you a gift, just run or say, yeah.
But I just love that story because that's just how I imagine the minor leagues to be. You got this guy who got a cup of coffee in the major leagues and, is never going to make it back there. But, he at least has that experience to pass on. And even in that same scene, he's like, if he was so great, why was he in the minor leagues for 10 years? Why isn't he in the major leagues? But I actually got to go to a Bull Durham's game last year, but it's not the same stadium. They tore it down and built a new one, so it wasn't quite the same. But to me, like, is there an actor that does a better job of portraying a baseball player than Kevin Costner? And he's in so many baseball movies.
Yeah, he was in Field of Dreams, obviously. Bull Durham. He was in For the Love of the Game.
Yeah.
Right.
Those were the 3 I was thinking.
Those were the 3. Yeah, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a 4th? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Think so.
I don't think so. But again, yeah, when you think it's like, oh, yep, sure, Kevin Costner's in it.
But I mean, you've got him as Crash Davis and the catcher in Major League. They're very comparable roles.
Right.
The old broken down guys are just trying to hang on for one more year.
So when I was doing TTMs, I would ask, I'd have a little index card where I'd ask players a question, and usually, or a couple questions, and usually I would ask a player if they made a movie about you, who would play you, and it was a lot of times it was the guy that played the catcher from Major League, so that was interesting.
Really, even for non-catchers?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I thought you were going to say Costner. That is surprising.
Yeah. Wow.
I think
that's interesting.
Yeah. It was like 3 times I got that same answer back.
Because again, Costner he didn't really play a baseball position in Field of Dreams.
No.
Right.
But in Major League, he was, in Bull Durham, he was a catcher. And For the Love of the Game, he was a pitcher.
Right. I feel like he's in another one, but I could be wrong.
He's in a really bad Browns movie.
Oh yeah, the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. When he was with the draft day or whatever or something. Yeah, that was that. I don't know. I enjoyed that movie. I know it's beyond baseball, but it's still sports related. It's a sports movie,
right?
Just the inside happenings of draft day and the wheeling and dealing and scouting and just going over all the stats and how you want to build your team and whether this player would impact this and
Scott said something that has never been truer. Really bad and Browns.
Right.
It goes very well together.
But didn't Costner pass on the big quarterback because what? There was something about that quarterback for his birthday or reunion. No one showed up, or there's something that he says, "Wait a minute." There's something about his like personality, or there was
Yeah, it was something like that.
That said, beyond his football skills, he's like, wait a minute, why did no one show up to whatever event? And it's like, with all this, blah, 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 why did no one show up? And then he's like, maybe this isn't the person that we think is that person that we want to be our leader and build a team around and blah, blah, blah. And then they went with, did they go with a running back or something?
It was either a running back or a linebacker. I don't remember.
Yeah, something, but yeah. That's...
All right, John, it's back to you.
It's back to me.
Have you seen all these movies that we've mentioned?
Yes, so far I have seen. I'll talk about, and this is a little bit going to be odd, but from just everything I've seen of it, and I just haven't gotten around to see it, but one that I want to, and I think would be on my list is 42. I can't believe I haven't seen it yet. But from the trailers and other things of other people talking about the movie and stuff, just obviously the setting with Jackie Robinson, and that's a movie that I need to see. And I think if I do, I'm assuming the two of you have seen it, would probably be up there on my list as well.
Don.
Oh, you look like you were deep in thought.
Well, I think that is, to me, that is the most overrated baseball movie they've ever made.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. I didn't think it was well done. It had good actors in it. I just thought it felt rushed. Like it should have been like an eight-part HBO miniseries or something. And it just wasn't good enough for that story.
Okay.
Because that's a big story,
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of feel the same way. I liked it, but it's not anywhere near my top movies by any means. And that's a good way of putting it, Scott, that it really could have been a miniseries.
Wow, that's a totally different reaction than I thought I'd get. That like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you haven't seen that yet. Yeah, so I'll keep that. I'll probably still want to see it just to
definitely
see it.
Yeah,
but maybe I had my own higher expectations of at least. Obviously, you pretty much know the storyline is the details, and Don, maybe they did cover so much so quickly that it just glosses over some stuff that it could have gone more in depth. So yeah, it'll be interesting when I do watch it, what my end thoughts are.
Okay.
Yeah. So Scott,
Don, do you have any overrated
others
movies
that we haven't
overrated?
Overrated.
Overrated.
Movie called The Sandlot. I mean, who likes that movie?
Exactly. I mean, and to like have a cardboard cutout of the Sandlot in their man cave. Just, I mean, that's a little. I mean, who has cardboard cutouts? I mean, come on.
Right. I'm obviously kidding.
Yeah,
that's a fun movie. Overrated. Well, one of the worst ones was the Ty Cobb Story.
Yeah,
it's so long.
I don't think I've seen. That's
I don't know if that's actually the title of it.
That's with
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't think I've maybe seen part of it, but not the whole thing.
Well, I believe it was based on that one author's book that just had everything wrong. Not everything, but it was kind of proven to be factually incorrect. A lot of the things. What's the John Goodman one where he plays Babe Ruth?
Oh,
that's another terrible one.
It's not called Ruth.
Babe?
Babe. It wasn't a remake. It wasn't an attempt. Was it an attempt to do the remake of the one that came out in like the 50s or 60s? Wasn't there a one back then called The Babe, or with what's his name? Oh gosh. Oh, I'm trying to think who played him. Back it was an older movie, much older movie. Anyway,
At least we
yeah.
got
And another, yeah. I don't think I've even seen the John Goodman version of. I just no. I didn't hear good things about that.
Right.
Let's see. Overrated. I don't have too many like that are that I put down on my list to remind me of different movies. I don't want to say overrated. I don't know if I mean it was an okay movie, A League of Their Own. Obviously, it's about a historical part of baseball during the war. You know, to play games. They formed the women's league, and there's a great history. There's a whole section in the Hall of Fame for them, I believe. So great history. You know, when you have Madonna and Rosie O'Donnell as actresses, and I don't know how.
I've got to disagree with you on this one.
Yeah,
I actually have that in my top 5.
really?
And,
Okay.
I didn't watch it until about a year ago. Just had no interest, and I was like, okay, I'll watch this just for something to do. And I was pleasantly surprised on how much I enjoyed it with Tom Hanks and I'm drawing a blank on the girl that was the sister that was really good.
Gina Davis.
Gina Davis. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to like that movie, and I really did. And like Madonna doesn't seem like Madonna in that movie to me. You know,
Right.
early enough in her career that she didn't seem too like I thought she fit the role.
Yeah, she didn't take over or attempt to take over the screen and
Right.
in her shots and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I didn't mean that I thought it was an overrated. It wasn't. Well, obviously, it's in your top 5. Didn't make my top 5, but it's a middle ground for me. But where does that rate for you?
I think I'm like right between you two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got an underrated movie right here.
Underrated. Okay.
Yeah, and it's called Swamp Shark. With Boggs.
Yes, you know, prior to setting this up, Scott and Dawn and I we're texting back and forth, and here's a screenshot of Wade Boggs playing a role of one of the sheriffs in Shark Swamp, and just I've never seen it. I never watched.
I don't believe that.
The movie. I honest to God, so what I did, I didn't have a whole lot of time from the time they started busting my chops about I can't believe you haven't seen it, and you know I was at work and then getting home and doing all this stuff. I watched. I tried to Google. I'm like, okay, Wade Boggs scene in Shark Swamp or Swamp Shark.
It got a 10% liking on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh yeah, it's low. It's really low, and no one has clipped the scene or scenes where Boggs is in it. So I was like, it's an hour and a half movie. I don't have time to watch the movie.
Why did he do that movie? What was he thinking? Did he think he had an acting career ahead of him? Or, I mean, I don't know. The joke with you guys, I didn't really think he had been in a movie, and I saw this, and I was like, "Is that real?" I was like,
I mean, I don't even know how. To be honest with you, I don't even know how long was he. Like 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 2 minutes. I don't even know how much screen time. Honestly, I haven't watched it. And I'm sure my fellow Boggs collectors are, putting me lower on the totem pole because of they're like, what do you mean, John? You haven't seen it?
Yeah, you don't have that on DVD to have Wade for you?
And I don't even know. You asked like, well, how was Boggs in that movie? Like, I don't even know the background of it. How he got, whether he knew someone and said, hey, would you want to do a cameo or whatever? Now, he's done Cheers, of course. That's his probably most famous. Can't Sing the Boggs and all that stuff. That I've seen that clip multiple times.
Well, that makes sense why he would do that.
Yeah, but he was also on a Simpsons episode. The softball team. He was Lord Palmerston or something like that. But Yeah, I don't even. I may have seen that Simpsons episode once. Yeah. So no, I have yet to. I'll have that on my bucket list to watch that movie and find the senior scenes that
Get your
Boggs is
wife,
in.
sit down, get some popcorn, and
Yep.
go in
Like,
for
oh, there he is. Okay, it's done. Okay, I'm done. So, yep. Here's one movie that I haven't seen that no one has brought up yet. So I want to get your two opinions on it. I've seen multiple scenes of it. Wanted to get your take. Moneyball.
I love Moneyball.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's probably the newest, like really good baseball movie that's been made. I think uh the only issue with it for me is like they made John D. Podesta kind of like this overweight fat slob. And he's not, he's a very neat and tidy guy. But yeah, it's just a neat movie to see that side of the analytics running a baseball team. And I live, or my team is a low budget analytic team, so it hits home that way.
My team's just low budget. We're not even analytical.
Well, it definitely changed that methodology changed baseball for a while. Now this was in the what time period was it? Was it the late 90s, early
Late
2000s?
90s, yeah.
Yeah.
That time period.
Yep. And when you have these smaller, like, okay, how can these smaller market teams compete? And just from my standpoint with the Mets, they just do it completely wrong. They sign these players that are 38, 39 years old to a 5-year contract. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, well, we want senior leadership. They're past their prime. Like, I just don't get that. Well, that's a whole other topic. But they just seem to sign these players in the second half of their career to these huge contracts when these other teams like the Braves, I mean, they have such just great young talent. They're not signing $20 million a year contracts with these players. They're probably, I don't know where the Braves fall in the hierarchy. I'm sure they're up there, but I don't think they're in the top 3 or 4. I don't think, in terms of payroll, and yet they've had a great team in the last few years, and they make great trades, and they have a few signings, but nothing like headline Braves signed so and so, and it's usually a little trade here, a little trade there, a small mid-level player, but it works. And then here the Mets going above the salary cap and stink. But
so we mentioned 42, another movie with the number 61. The Roger Maris run.
Right.
What do you think of that one, Scott?
I know I've seen it, but I don't remember it. So it must not have been
right. I don't think I've seen it.
That great.
Yeah.
I remember Barry Pepper was in it, and he looks like Roger Maris, which was kind of cool. But
right. Yeah, another movie that I thought was good, but I'm not going to search it out to watch it over and over again. Maybe if I'm flicking through the channels and it's on, I'll stop and watch it. But it's not a must see for me.
Now, was it the Lou Gehrig story or something? Wasn't that a movie?
Yes, or it's the Pride of the Yankees.
The Pride of the Yankees.
Right.
That one, it was on. I don't think I saw it all the way from the beginning, but I was just flipping. It wasn't too long, maybe within the last year or something like that. And I watched most of it. Probably most of it. I thought that was a pretty good movie. I forget who the actor that plays plays Lou Gehrig.
Gary Cooper.
Gary Cooper. Yeah, I knew it was. I knew it was Stewart. Yeah, Gary Cooper. I don't know. I thought it was decent. I don't recall any glaring errors or anything like that. But
I've not seen that one yet. I do want to see it.
Okay.
One of the movies that I think we have to mention, or we'll get crucified on if we don't mention it, is The Bad News Bears.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
We
That's
have a baseball movie show without talking about that show. And I got to be honest, it's been so long since I've watched that.
I'm kind of in the same boat.
I need a refresher on that one.
yeah.
It was
Well,
before my time, but I do remember really liking it.
didn't that come out? Was it the early
I
80s?
just looked it up, 1976.
76. Okay. Then I do remember seeing it when I was a kid. Now, obviously, it was after, if it came out in 76, I was only 4. So I didn't see it when it first came out. But probably reruns on TV or something like that. They had it on. And yeah, just that theme song. I'm not going to obviously do the tune, but
Thank you.
yeah. I don't know. Just that was, I don't know. I always liked that movie. I haven't seen it that often. It's a fun little baseball movie. Yeah.
And probably not one that I should have been watching at 9 years old either.
So it was your major league.
Trivia question this week for you too. So my first 5 guests were Nina S., Terry TJ Mack, Mike Canadian Cards, Stooks Scott, and Drew, the Vintage Legacy. They all have something in common that I broke this time by having Scott on.
Ooh.
You like all those people?
Huh?
You like all those people?
Oh, yeah, we tried that.
Oh, okay.
So again, the ones that you named, have a certain.
Yeah, they were my first 5 guests, and I did this on purpose.
Okay.
I invited them.
All right.
Before Scott.
And again, it was Nina,
Terry TJ Mack, Mike Canadian Cards, Scott, Stooks, and Drew, Vintage Legacy.
Boy.
And I think all of your guests, except for one, also have something in common with them.
Okay, now wait a minute. It's not the team. It's not the team they root for.
No.
Boy.
All right, I'm gonna have to give you guys some clues. I thought you guys would get this right away. Scott belongs to a certain club that these people do not.
The Misfits?
No,
I'm not a misfit.
I'm not a misfit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. That's right. Yeah, because I was looking at that at the drawing you did, and you weren't. I'm like, why isn't Scott in there?
Oh.
That's right.
They're not Hall of Famers.
Correct. You're the first one from the Hall of Fame that I invited.
Oh, yes, the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame. Yes, we have our first Hall of Famer.
For my side, you've had Ray from Philly on.
Yes.
He's in, but I think
yeah, that's okay. I was like that would have, yeah. Once if you had said Ray, I may have put that together. But yeah, that's right. We are in the midst of
greatness.
Of greatness, of a Hall of Famer. That should have been part of your intro. Yes, that good question there, Don. I wasn't.
I honestly thought you guys were going to get that right away. I was surprised. Then when I gave you the clue with the club, I was like, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah, the club.
Yeah, I do look at the patch every day. I don't know why they didn't.
I'm actually a little surprised you haven't shown it yet or had it on your shirt.
Yeah, it's down in the studio. So
okay, all right. Here's my trivia question. Now, I had picked a trivia question before our conversation, but obviously some of these baseball movies feature one of the prominent characters as a pitcher. You have Vaughn in Major League, obviously for the love of the game. You have Bull Durham. So again, pitchers, the characters play a big role. So here's a pitcher question. Who is the only pitcher to win 3 Major League World Series in 3 different decades?
They were on a winning team, or they actually won a game?
The winning team. Yes, the winning team in 3 different decades. He was a pitcher for that team when they won the World Series in each of the 3 decades.
Was it the same team or 3 different teams?
It's the same team. Yeah, the question doesn't state it, but that's the hint. So the question is, who's the only pitcher to win 3 Major League World Series? Again, win the World Series in 3 different decades. But the answer happens to be someone who happened to be for the same team. But that wasn't the requirement for the answer. That's a hint.
I'm cheating, looking at my cards here. Well, we know it wasn't Bob Feller.
No. And it wouldn't have been anybody in the Pirates.
Nope. Yankees. Jeez, I have no idea. Can you give the 3 decades?
I can. I was gonna give another clue, but I think that would help you out, Dawn, and not Scott, unless you watched our last episode, and that may give it away. So I'll start with the decades. It was 60s, 70s, and 80s.
60s, 70s, and 80s. So it's Chris from Missouri. 67.
I think I mentioned this in the last episode. And it may have been done after we stopped recording. I know we were chatting for a little bit afterwards, but
right.
So it may not have been on the recording. So the first hint is the 3
Carlton?
decades, 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Steve Carlton?
No. Good guess though.
He wasn't on the Cardinals team that won in the 60s.
He may have been.
Oh, but it was same team.
Same team.
That's right.
Well, it happens to be that the person happens to have played on the same team. That's a hint. It's not like there was someone else who did it with different teams,
right?
And this was the only one who did it with the same team. He's the only one.
Wouldn't be Juan Marichal.
But Carlton was a good guess because he did play during those 3 decades.
Palmer? No, they didn't win in the 60s.
Jim Palmer's right.
Oh. What year did they win in the 60s?
60. Did they
Sean,
win?
I don't know.
Because his rookie was in 67. They didn't win it in 69, did they? Did
No,
Baltimore
the
win it?
Mets won in 69.
That's right, 68. No, 68 was
the Cardinals.
I think they won it in 67.
Or no.
Did they? Because obviously he wasn't pitching in the 90s.
You gave us a faulty question here. Let me look up Baltimore World Series.
Yeah.
This is riveting that we're like silent right
66.
now.
66 was his rookie year.
Yeah.
66 was Palmer's rookie year. They won it in 66, 70, and 83.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Good
so he was
question.
on the team his rookie year, and they won it, and then they won it in 70 and then 83.
Okay.
So that was a good question there.
Mm-hmm. So, John, have you seen, being a Red Sox fan, have you seen Fever Pitch?
Fever Pitch.
Right.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Is that obviously it sounds like it's revolving the Red Sox?
Correct. And
Okay.
I think it had Ben Affleck, and it was originally a soccer movie, and they remade it in the U.S. as a baseball movie.
Oh,
about the Red Sox.
Okay. What time period was the movie set in?
So that would have been the first recent World Series they won.
Okay.
So there are Red Sox movies. They're Cleveland movies. Are there any Pittsburgh movies, Don?
Not that I know of.
I don't think there are any related to the Mets. So we have obviously Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have several.
We have
Did you guys see The Rookie? There was
Dodgers.
a high school teacher.
Yeah,
It was,
that was a good one.
so the Devil Rays got in there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Or
That pitcher. Yep.
So you have the Oakland A's with Moneyball.
Yep.
Cleveland.
Twins we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
The Angels, Angel in the Outfield. That was a family type movie with the Angels. I
I
think.
thought they remake too. I think that was originally made in the 50s.
Angels in the Outfield.
I think
think so.
Two that we didn't mention.
Which one?
Major League 2.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We say the White Sox for Field of Dreams because it's basically the 8-man out guys.
Right.
And they're also
Right.
8-man out.
Even out. Yep.
For Love of the Game is Detroit.
Yep.
There's one with Tom Selleck on the Tigers too.
That Mr. Baseball.
Yeah.
He goes to Japan.
Right.
Yeah. He goes to yes. So there's a Japanese aspect of it, and then he was a
And the
Tiger.
one with the kid with the monkey or chimpanzee or whatever.
Right. What's that one?
That might. I don't know. It's on here somewhere.
Trying to think what other that may be the only. What team was one of the, if you want to talk about stupid funny movie, wasn't there a baseball scene in one of the oh gosh, it left me now. Oh gosh. Anyway, shoot. It wasn't the airplane movie.
I don't know if you guys ever remember this in Fantasy Island. Remember that TV show?
Yeah.
And the guy wanted to strike out major leaguers, and I think it was like George Brett, maybe Fred Lynn or Yastrzemski, something like that. And he struck all three of them out. And then once his wish is over, he couldn't even get the ball to the plate. But it had the real athletes on it, just like Don Drysdale and the Brady Bunch.
Here's a question for you, Don. Bill Mazeroski was in a movie because Roberto Clemente declined to do it. So Maz hit into a triple play for this movie. Or yeah, do you know what movie that would be?
I never knew that. I have no idea.
Yeah. The Odd Couple.
The Odd Couple?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep.
The movie The Odd Couple. What, there was a scene at the ballpark, or
I think so.
Okay.
I read about it. I don't remember seeing it.
Well, one guy is a sports writer, right? So that makes sense.
Yeah.
The Odd Couple.
Yeah. And so this was the movie version,
Right.
or the TV series.
I thought it was the movie.
Oh,
I was reading about this today.
Okay.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay.
Because Jack Lemmon was in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Jack Lemmon? Was one of the ones? Yeah.
Jack Lemmon and
Walter Matthau?
right.
Okay.
Mazeroski, like 70 years old. It's true.
Well, this was in the
movie
70s,
came out in
right?
the
60s.
70s, I think.
I think so.
Oh, I'm thinking of the newer version of it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it must have been. Well, if Clemente turned down the role, it must have been
Yeah.
early 70s or late 60s then.
What am I thinking? Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Are there any documentaries that you guys like?
Well, I guess technically it's the documentaries, but the 9 innings.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the 9 innings? That
Baseball.
I have the DVDs. I mean, I love the interviews of the sports writers and some fans about the different decades and the background music for as you go, the music is sort of like to the time period.
Mm-hmm.
And just all the clips and photographs of just some of these great players. I love that series. That's probably my favorite.
Was there? I know there's a book called this, but was there a movie titled "When" or "Only the Ball Was White"? It was about the Negro Leagues,
Um,
and that's
doesn't ring a bell.
yeah. I know there's a book titled that, but that's something I would love to see. Maybe just because of my interest in the Negro Leagues, or something with Josh Gibson or Satchel Paige, and there's short clips on YouTube. I'm more on Page than Gibson, but I've never seen a whole documentary on it. I got to think of something out there.
Another movie I didn't mention, it's not a documentary, but I really like Bingo Long's Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings. So that is a Negro League movie.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. And that's got
what?
It's got Richard Pryor and
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen
Yes. Okay. When you said that, the first thing that popped in my head was Richard Pryor and
Billy D. Williams.
Who?
Billy D. Williams.
Yes. I do remember seeing that movie. I like that one.
James Earl Jones too.
Yeah.
So that's 3 that I can think of that he's been in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So James Earl Jones was in that one. He was in Field of Dreams
And Sandlot.
That's right. Yes.
Nobody's ever seen The Sandlot though, so
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Hardly counts.
About that, but
all right. So we have James Earl Jones and Kevin Costner, both we think in 3.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's any other actors that have been in at least 2. I don't know.
And then another movie I wanted to bring up was the Kid from Cleveland. So that one was from 1949.
Oh.
And it has actual like baseball players in it from Cleveland. So it's got Bill Veeck, who's the owner. It's got Bob Feller, Lou Boudreau, Satchel Paige, Larry Doby. Like all these guys are in this movie. And it's not a great movie, but it's really neat to see all these guys in 1949.
Kid from Cleveland?
Yep.
Oh.
And I think you can find that on YouTube and just watch it on YouTube.
And it's not a documentary, it's a movie.
Right.
Wow. I had never heard of that.
Yeah.
You would think with all those, great players back then that you would have heard more about it. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out.
So it wasn't about the Yankees, so.
Yeah.
True.
Well, yeah.
So nobody's ever heard of it.
Yeah.
But back to documentaries. I just watched one the other day, and I told you about this, Don, but it was The Saint of Second Chances. So this is on Netflix, and it's about Bill Veeck's son, Mike Veeck. And Mike Veeck kind of like did the same thing that Bill did, and just kind of revolutionized the minor league sort of. And it's a really good family kind of like, Bill got him to join him in Chicago during his second stint. So they kind of own the White Sox together. And Mike came up with a disco stunt that kind of backfired.
Yeah.
And they ended up selling the team. And Mike really just wanted to get back into the major leagues. But he ended up buying like an independent team. And then he was very successful with that. And he bought more and more independent teams. And he finally got back in the major leagues with the Devil Rays. And his daughter was having problems with her eyesight. And so like it was really early in his tenure with the Devil Rays where he just like, you know what, I quit. I want to be with my daughter. Like he got back to where he wanted to be, but he like thought it was more important to be with his family. So that was a really, really cool movie.
Huh. Yeah, because that was with was that with the whole fireworks thing? Was that around the scoreboard or something?
Mm-hmm.
And
they were burning the records, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, they were burning records. It was like Disco Sucks Night or something like that.
Yeah.
And it just turned into pandemonium.
And wasn't it under his ownership that at least, I don't know if it was for the whole season, for one game or something like that, the White Sox wore shorts?
Mm-hmm.
Was that just for a game or?
I don't know if they did that like a couple times.
I don't think
it wasn't the whole season, but
yeah,
on the team then, did he? when they did? He's
Mhm.
still
That
okay.
was, yeah. So that was a really, really neat one. And then I like these kind of like independent league movies. The Battered Bastards of Baseball.
I watched that. That's good.
Yeah. That was Kurt Russell's dad actually owned a team, and Kurt Russell was on the team,
Oh,
and it was an independent league, and it's a really neat movie too.
yep. Never heard of that
I
one.
think that's on Netflix,
Yeah.
maybe YouTube too. I forget.
Well, I'll do a shout out to the people that have been watching this. Put in the comments if there's any other movies that you haven't seen that you like, whether you agree or disagree with some of our favorite movies, um, and any other documentaries that you think that we may be interested in that you know of. So again, in the comments, we'd love to get your thoughts on some of the baseball movies that we talked about here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it'd be great finding some things. I mean, I've got a couple here from Scott. They wrote down. Maybe I need to watch Benchwarmers. Apparently, I'm gonna pass on Swamp Shark though.
yeah.
I've seen Benchwarmers. I kind of want to see Swamp Shark now.
I did watch like a couple scenes, like the trailer and like the very very end. I'm like, oh, it's not it's um think what is it, the like the Sharknado and all that stuff of those. It's out
It's
there. It's
I
bad.
didn't watch
So
it.
I don't know. I'm sure the scenes though with Boggs were the highlight in terms of theatrical stuff, but the whole thing. I would probably agree, even though I haven't seen all of it, with the Rotten Tomatoes ranking. So don't necessarily, because I think it's on Temu you can watch it for free, but everywhere else I think you have to pay for it. And I'm like, I'm not going to pay to but yeah.
So I got one more question for the two of you. Like,
All right.
is there a baseball story that you would like to see made into a movie?
Ooh.
I do have a story, but do you have a story, Scott?
I'd kind of like to see like a Larry Doby.
That's what
story,
I want to kill your thunder. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because he gets lost in
the
the
book
whole
that I like,
history of it.
our team, by Luke Eplin. They did sell the rights to it, but we'll see if that ever gets made. But that would be really neat.
I'm surprised they haven't done one on Clemente, like an actual
I am too.
movie on him. I don't know if the family's just doesn't want to do it, or there's just no interest in it, which I find that kind of hard to believe. And even if the Dobie, maybe he's not well known enough outside of baseball circles for a movie. Like my wife knows who Jackie Robinson is. I doubt she knows who Larry Doby is. But even a really good documentary on him or something, or a Netflix type movie would be great. Because I mean, he came 2 or 3 months after Jackie. That's it. And he dealt with everything Jackie did.
Yeah, but yeah, you never hear anything about it. For me, and again, I don't know if it's much of how good of a story it is.
Yeah, we don't need a Wade Boggs.
No. I wasn't going to go there. The only thing that came to mind, and I'm sure if I took some time to think more about it, I may have a better option. But just a movie on Hank Aaron. I've always liked Hank Aaron, and just because he didn't play a season in the Negro Leagues, did he?
He did play in the Negro
Leagues. He did. Okay. So I don't know. Just his background may not be that exciting, but obviously,
I think that'd be very interesting.
What he went through toward the end of his career and breaking Babe Ruth's record.
Because he came from nothing. So that would be a great movie.
Yeah.
And I said it earlier too. I don't know if there's just not enough history on Satchel Paige, or what they believe is true and what isn't.
Yeah.
But he's just fascinating character and story, as we all know.
Yeah. So again, those watching in the comments, what is there something else that we haven't mentioned here that you would like to have a movie made about a player, about something in the history of baseball that you would like to see a movie made about?
Because
So
Don, John, and I are going to make that movie for you.
yes,
And we'll hire Alex to film it for us,
Mhm.
but we'll write it.
We're going to act in it too.
Oh, of course.
and I'm sure Kevin Costner would be interested in a fourth movie, so we can fit him in there somewhere.
Yeah, he's got to get one up on James Earl Jones there.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Okay. Well, this was a fun conversation on just again a topic away from little pieces of cardboard, but it still has to do with a great game of baseball, baseball movies, and yeah, I know at least I struggled a little bit to remember some of the scenes in the movies and actors and so on, but I think we can all agree, maybe not specifically, that there are some great baseball related movies that are out there, some funny, some serious, some historically accurate, some just for fun. And then there's some maybe that just didn't quite pass the bar
Sandlot.
in terms of content. I'm not gonna, no. But that there's something out there for everyone when it comes to baseball movies. So, Don, any further?
Nope. I think we've covered everything that I could think of, and I think everything on my top 5 is mentioned. Well, of course, I mentioned a couple of them, but we all talked about them. But I think some of these are just classic movies. Even if you're not a huge baseball fan, they're just they never get old. They mature. Well, what's the word I'm looking for? But they've stood the test of time.
Yep. Scott, any last thoughts about the baseball movies?
I think we covered it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on. I'm going to
Yeah.
keep texting you though, Don.
Well, I appreciate you being on, bud.
Yeah. It was about time. But persistence pays off.
Right.
So again, thanks for coming on and being our guest, Scott. Next episode is going to be up to me. I haven't thought about that yet, so chances are we will not have another episode of Two Guys, One Hobby a week from this one. I mean, need some time to think about and coordinate who we're going to have on as our next guest, but there will be another episode. And with that, for all of you who have followed along up to this point, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, guys.
Yep.